Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we've literally all been there, right? Your phone buzzes at 8 a.m. on a Monday, you see that little ping from your boss, and boom, your stomach just instantly drops. If you've ever felt like your daily work life is just sort of happening to you, like you're merely reacting to a never-ending stream of emails, meetings, and management decisions, then you are exactly where you need to be. Today, we're taking a close look at the overarching theme of workplace dynamics, but we aren't looking at boring corporate policy or complicated organizational charts. Instead, we're looking at how one super simple internal choice fundamentally dictates our professional success.
Okay, let's dive into this. Who actually controls your workplace relationships? I mean, is it your boss? Is it the company culture? Maybe your coworkers? It is so incredibly easy for us to just hand over that control to external forces. We often think our relationships at work are just the natural byproduct of our environment. But what if the agency actually rests entirely with you? What if the steering wheel has literally been in your hands this entire time?
Section 1. The professional mindset. Because the truth is, cultivating positive relationships really isn't accidental. It requires adopting a very specific framework of thinking.
You see, you don't just stumble into a great dynamic with your team or your boss by sheer luck. It requires a structured, deliberate approach to your daily interactions. Let's look at the exact title of our source material today, which is going to serve as our foundational maxim. The professional mindset, cultivating positive workplace relationships. Notice that word right there, cultivating. You don't just find a positive relationship, you cultivate it. Kind of like a gardener tending to a garden. You don't just, throw seeds at your keyboard and hope a promotion blooms. It takes real effort, intention, and creating the right environment. This single concept is the microscope through which we're going to examine our daily work lives today. Every single interaction you have is an active chance to cultivate.
Section 2. Choosing your attitude. So the crucial point is, how do we actively shift from being a passive recipient of our workday to the active driver?
Well, it starts right here. Choose your attitude. I really want you to let that sink in for a second. Psychologists estimate that the average adult makes around 35,000 conscious decisions every single day. That's a massive number. So this directive, straight from our source text, is just profoundly simple because it asks you to make this one specific choice deliberately. It doesn't say, have a good attitude, or hope for a good attitude. It literally says, choose it. Attitude is an active, daily, sometimes hourly choice. Before you walk into a high-stakes meeting, before you open a stressful email, before you respond to difficult feedback, you have a split second to make a deliberate choice about the mindset you're bringing into that space.
Now, what's really fascinating about this concept is the stark contrast it presents. On one hand, we've got the active stance, choose your attitude. Honestly, this is super empowering, right? It means you have agency. But on the flip side, we have the passive, downright detrimental approach, simply letting a negative attitude take the wheel. When we don't actively choose our mindset, default human nature kind of just pulls us toward frustration, cynicism, or negativity, especially under the normal everyday stresses of a job. And that passive negativity acts as a quiet, damaging force on absolutely everything we try to build at work.
Section 3. Superiors and negativity. Let's move to and see how this builds into the actual power dynamics of a job and the direct consequences of our chosen attitude. First off, let's break down this concept of superiors for a minute. Superiors, whether that's your direct manager, the department head, or even just the person who ultimately approves your hard-earned PTO, are the individuals in a workplace hierarchy with management authority over your role, your projects, and ultimately your relationship development within the company. There's an inherent, undeniable power dynamic at play here. When you bring your chosen attitude into their sphere, you're not just interacting with a peer. You are dealing with the person who holds a literal key to your career progression. The attitude you choose becomes the primary lens through which they view your potential.
Which brings us to a literal, critical excerpt from our source text. A negative attitude may not help you develop a healthy relationship with your superiors. Now, I know that sounds almost understated, doesn't it? But the direct cause and effect here is absolute. A poor mindset acts as a massive, immediate roadblock. It's essentially the active ingredient in hindering your own professional growth. You just cannot effectively cultivate a healthy, upward-moving relationship with management while you're simultaneously planting the seeds of a toxic negative attitude.
And this brilliantly illustrates the mechanical failure of bringing a negative mindset to work. It's basically a simple, destructive formula. Step 1, bring a negative attitude to your interactions. Step 2, prevent the development of a healthy relationship with your superiors. Boom! It is a guaranteed recipe for professional stagnation.
By bringing negativity, you're effectively short-circuiting the exact connection you need to thrive in your workplace hierarchy. It's way more than just being unpleasant in a meeting. It's a structural barrier you are actively building between yourself and your own success.
So what does this all mean for us? Well, we arrive at the ultimate question, turning the stark implications of our source text directly back to you. What attitude will you choose with your superiors tomorrow? And I don't mean what attitude will you feel when your alarm goes off in the morning, but what attitude will you actively, deliberately choose to equip? Your professional agency is completely in your hands. The mindset you decide to bring when you log on or walk through those office doors will dictate the relationships you build and the success you achieve. Think deeply about that choice as you head into your next workday. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep cultivating that professional mindset.